Hello and welcome back to Focus Atlanta. Thanks so much for continuing to watch. We're going to close out the show talking about something very important, and it is our friends and family members living with type 1 diabetes. I'm here with Dr. Mitri and Maureen.
Thank you, Keisha, for having us today.
Yes, thanks, Keisha.
Dr. Mitri, can I start with you? What do you want people to know about living with type 1 diabetes?
Keisha, first of all, thanks again for having us. Living with type 1 diabetes can really be burdensome, but it's really not just because you have to manage numbers, not because you have to do some math. It's really because you have to do multiple decisions every day. And I think that's really important. And if people realize that, I'd like them to know that they are not really on their own, that there's so much out there that they can tap onto to minimize some of the burden that they can experience.
Absolutely. Maureen, I've got to say, a lot of times people don't discuss the emotional toll that a diagnosis like this has. Can you speak to that end of it?
You bet I can. I've been living with type 1 for almost 45 years now. And through those years, I've experienced a lot of distress. It's hard to do all the things that the doctor mentioned, keeping track of hundreds of things that affect your health each day. One thing that people don't see very often or don't realize is, first, it's a hidden disease. You don't see it. And the sleep component or lack of sleep has been a real problem for me and for many others, I think, because I'd be awoken by alarms, indicating that I needed emergency sugar. So I'd have to get up, eat some sugar, brush my teeth, attempt to go back to sleep. And that can happen a couple times a night. So the next day, you're tired when you don't get enough sleep. You're a little bit foggy. You're unclear. You're not at your best by any means. And this was every single night.
I had no idea. I think that from the outside looking in, we make the assumption that your physicians are kind of helping you through those things, or that you have a care team that's kind of, helping you to manipulate
Right.
that. Dr. Mitri, is there a bridge? Is there a better way to help patients through these type of issues?
And you're right, Keisha. There's this misconception, right? That everything is just about these numbers and the doctor can help you. And that is true. The doctor can help, but there's so much out there. At Sequel, we developed the TWIST system for people with type 1 diabetes, just like Maureen, who we partnered with today. We know that people with diabetes have to think every day, and they have a lot of challenges on so many things that Maureen described, when they're sleeping, when they're eating, when they're doing physical activity, how is going to impact their sugar. So now TWIST system was designed having those realities in mind, and it delivers insulin based on a lot of information. And some of that information actually includes how you're eating and how your meals are getting expected to be absorbed over time. Obviously, there's a lot of things to learn about the system. But if people are interested, they should discuss with their healthcare providers to find out more.
Maureen, I can only imagine that you must be thrilled that there is some level of attention given to this type of thing. Tell me a little bit about how you found new ways to work with your body.
Let me tell you that the best thing that's happened to my body in the last year, however long it's been, year and a half, is the TWIST. I sleep through the night with no interruptions. Consequently, I'm better the next day. I feel better. My numbers are in range. It's really made a big difference for me. Obviously, everybody's different, and everyone should speak with their healthcare provider and ask, what might work for them. But for me, this system, the TWIST, has been an amazing element in reducing the distress that accompanies a type 1 lifestyle.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine how much hope you two have just given some patients who are living with these same symptoms, living with these same circumstances. Dr. Mitri, what do you want to leave the viewers with in terms of learning more, finding out how to discuss this type of option with their physicians? What do you want people to know?
Yeah, I want, first of all, people to know that if they are really overwhelmed, that they're not on their own, that there's so much out there, like I said, that they can look out for. And if they are overwhelmed, I want them to know as well that it's really not them failing, but they're dealing with a disease that that is complex. And two, I want them to focus on doing little steps, focus on progress and not on perfection. And at the end, I'd like to say that even if the disease is complex, there's a lot of resources out there and a lot of support that can make this much easier for them. They can take some of that burden out by providing a lot of tools and support and taking that guesswork out. And if they'd like to know more about our system, I would like to encourage them to visit twist.com. And that is twist with 2 I's.
Thank you both for making time for us here in Atlanta. It was a pleasure to meet you.
It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Keisha.
All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in to this segment of Focus Atlanta. If indeed you are someone who's been living with type 1 diabetes and you've been struggling with some options, perhaps this is something you could discuss with your healthcare provider. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Focus Atlanta. I hope to see you next week here on CBS Atlanta.